The stories, opinions, and wild takes shared by my guests are all theirs. I may nod along, sip my tea, or raise an eyebrow, but that doesn't mean I co-sign everything they say. This is a space for honest convos, not echo chambers. So, take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and don't at me.
My name is Marko Ukalovic. I'm a Bay Area native, lived in San Jose pretty much my whole life, and until I did my 4 years at San Diego State, a place where I had the greatest time of my life. And right now I am a sports reporter. I have my own website, Bay Area Sports Wrap. We also have our YouTube channel as well, where we put on a lot of post-game videos. We write feature stories on the website. We do podcasts, and we're getting ready to rebrand our podcast. I got a friend's daughter who's a whiz jazz musician who's hooked up with other local jazz musicians, and they're going to do our theme song. So when all that gets going, I'm going to debut that, and we're going to get some really cool guests on. But other than that, you know, I've been back here in the Bay Area since 2001, and since 2009 I've been covering all the local sports teams. It started out with the San Jose Sharks in 2009, and it progressed to the San Francisco Giants, which you can tell we're sitting right behind Oracle Park, which is the jewel ballpark of all Major League Baseball. One of the best things to do, come here in San Francisco, and I love this city. It's got so much culture here. So yeah, I've been doing that, and again, I've done the Raiders, I've done the Warriors, A's. Even though they're around Sacramento now, and today's kind of a battle of the NorCal. I guess they're calling it the I-80 series, which used to be the Babe Ruth series, but now that they're in Sacramento, we got the I-80 series. Right. So that's the finale today, and yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've been working various jobs, in the meantime throughout that time period. But this is what my passion is, and I'm glad I'm still being able to do it now.
So you started in sports in 2009, yes, doing sports journalism.
Yes.
How did you get into it?
Well, so, that sports has always been my passion. I knew growing up that I wasn't going to be the superstar athlete, even though, I've always loved playing sports. But I just knew my area was going to be in covering them and being like a play-by-play announcer or just reporting the facts. I've always watched sports from an X's and O's standpoint, not from a reactionary fan standpoint like the majority of fans do. Like, I'm already kind of predicting of what I think is going to happen, or at least in talking about the strategy of the game of what should happen. And so, sports has always been a big thing since I was a little kid. My two main passions in life are sports and music. Some people say you can't have more than one passion. I don't agree with that. I believe you can have more than one. And so, when music hasn't been there for me, sports has been there, and vice versa. And, when I was at my high school, I was on our school newspaper as a sports editor. When I went to my junior college, De Anza, Cupertino, I got to be the sports editor there. And then when I went down to San Diego State, I was able to get on the radio, because radio's always really been my passion since I was a kid. Growing up, listening to ball games on the radio, especially when I was with my grandfather, that was to me the best thing about life. It was cloud nine for me, especially if the Giants won that day. And so I've always wanted to be in radio, and sports radio was always been something I was involved in. If I wasn't doing a show at my college station, I was calling the sports stations up and giving my 2 cents. And so, at that point in 2009, I was happened to get my really first media job at KLOK radio station, and from there it just kind of bloomed into where I was able to get the sports reporting going, and because of that opportunity. So I was in radio from basically 2009 to 2020, and now everything's digital, online, AI, whatever you want to call it, and I'm just trying to be a cog in that machine, and so that's where it started. And like I said, I've been very lucky over these last 16 years now, I guess. I'm not a math major, that's why I chose journalism and became a radio guy, because I didn't like math. But over the last 16 years, I've had some great experiences. I've covered World Series, I've covered the NBA Finals, I've been to numerous All-Star games, postseason games. just recently, Messi Mania came to the Bay Area in the South Bay. When his team in Miami played the San Jose Earthquakes, and that was such a spectacle. Having the GOAT, I'm not going to call him that just because he hasn't finished retiring. He hasn't finished playing yet, and he hasn't retired, so I say. And so, it's been a lot of greats for him, like Diego Maradona, his fellow countrymen. You go back to the English guys that I've played, the German guys like Beckenbauer. There's been a lot of great soccer players over the year. And I know some people call it football, but look, in America, we already have a sport of football, so we can't call it football here. It's soccer. It's always going to be soccer.
You're just seeing the look on my face, and that's why you had to correct yourself, right?
Exactly. So, yeah, but that's basically where it came from. So
between a radio sports commentator and a TV sports commentator, what are some of the core skill sets you think that they need to just be an engaging commentator overall?
Well, you have to first be knowledgeable about the sports that you're wanting to talk about and cover. Either you grew up playing them or you grew up watching it. I did both. I played sports all the way till high school. It was baseball. That was my first love ever, was baseball growing up. And then, when I got to high school, I played football, I played soccer, and I played baseball. And knowing that when your playing career is going to go no further, it's not going to advance to even the collegiate level, that's when then you need to start. Then, if you want to be a journalist, take journalism classes. Learn how to write the proper grammar and spelling. Now, I know, look, kids don't need that today because they got AI doing everything for them, which is unfortunate and sad, but it is what it is, and you got to adapt to the times. But again, if you're like a teenager and you're thinking of wanting to do this, again, look to see if your school has a newspaper or if they have a radio station, and from there, try to develop your personality. Because a lot of times, sports covering and reporting about is knowing what you know, but then being able to deliver it in a way that's going to be engaging for an audience. I've always been at the point where, I want to be as knowledgeable as possible before giving my opinion. Because, if you're just going to give an opinion and have a hot take, if you will, and not really know what you're talking about, no one's going to take you seriously. You will not have any credibility. From there, try to network. Networking is the biggest thing, especially in this business. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And I've been lucky to know some people that have got me to where I'm at right now in my career. And again, we start covering games or just start writing for something, that's where you get to network with other people in the business. Don't be afraid to ever introduce yourself to someone and say, hey, I'm so-and-so. Maybe you have some pointers or some tips you can help me out with. That's always going to be key. And so, I didn't really have that when I was doing this. I was kind of doing it all by myself. But, when I see younger people wanting to do this, I tell them, this is how you got to go about it. Get internships if you can. Internships are huge. You get an internship that can lead to a paying gig. Maybe not at that place that you're getting an internship, but anything you can add and pad to a resume, that's always going to help. And so those are some of the, just techniques as far as what I like to offer to people, and just tell them this is how the way to get into it. It was different when I was growing up because there was no internet. You just had TV and you had radio and you had newspaper, and unless you got hired by one of those three entities, it was tough to break into the business. Now, everyone's got a YouTube channel. I mean, there's people who are considered celebrities because they have a YouTube channel or they have a Twitch channel. I mean, I don't get that people are celebrities because they play video games. I never understood. I never knew that existed until just a couple months ago. As far as that's where these people are coming from. So it is a lot easier now to do that. And in fact, definitely get online, create a YouTube channel, get as much content out there, even to the point where even if you're not going to get paid for your stuff online, at least it's out there, and you can definitely take advantage of social media. I mean, there's so many social media channels now with X, or as I like to call Twitter still. Even Facebook's a good platform, and Instagram, and even TikTok. All these platforms that you have now, you got to take advantage of that, and that's what we've been doing with my site. If we're at an event, we're doing an Instagram live. I'm producing shorts. Like this last night at the Bay FC Angel City game, I was able to get field access, and I'm taking video and pictures of them practicing pre-game. The goalies are making saves with the coaches. Post-game, I'm getting them interacting with the fans, signing autographs, seeing the other players interacting with them. So, stuff like that is a good way to build your brand and put it out there. So, if you're going to start, that's a good way to do that.
Between that first and second quarter?
Everything. We jumped out on them. We got to keep that momentum going for 4 quarters. I feel like that'll change the game right there. As long as we can keep our tempo and not really fluster off like we did, we would have been set for the game.
It seemed like in that second quarter, every time there was a third down, get off the field play. Somehow Mahomes got out of it and found a receiver that created separation.
Yeah, that's what he's special at. That's what he's known for in this league. Those plastic situations, we got to win those. He had time back there in the pocket. He was making plays and making throws down the field. We just got to be better in those type of situations. We knew that those would be the key and pivotal points.
How frustrating was it to see it just kind of slip away, especially in that second quarter?
It's frustrating, period. No one wants to lose, no matter what the situation is. We really wanted this one, but it's behind us now. We'll make the corrections and move on.
Were the Chiefs that good? Or the Raiders just,
I always look at it like it's what we could do, not really what they could do. We could always be better in every phase.
I heard a few of some sort of miscommunication, but others, it looked like we had them covered in the back end and they just made plays.
Yeah,
is that what makes it frustrating when they'll make a play?
He was the MVP for a reason. He made some hell of a throws. We got to be better in situations like that and be able to make those plays on the ball.
On the first score, what did he issue?
So what?
On the first score to Robinson down the left sideline?
I don't remember it exactly.
Do you feel like you guys learned something about your defense in that second quarter?
Period. We're each and every play is a learning experience. If you don't get the win, we don't look at it as a loss. It's more of a lesson. So we just got to get better. We'll correct the things on the tape and move forward.
So I know you've been on radio because that's how we met.
Right.
Yeah. So, but as a listener, who are some of your favorite sports personalities here in the Bay Area?
Yeah, so that's I love that question because growing up we had some really awesome play-by-play guys, and that's what made me want to be a play-by-play guy was by listening to them. So growing up, always listening to the radio. If it was Raider games, it was Bill King, the legendary Bill King. Holy Toledo, and we had Hank Greenwald doing the Giants, and then my all-time personal hero is Greg Papa. I was 12 years old, 1987. They're playing the Lakers. The Warriors are down by a big time deficit in the fourth quarter. Sleepy Floyd scores 27 points in that game, and at one point Greg Papa goes, "Sleepy Floyd is Superman," and right there is when I want to do this. That sounded so great to me that's what made me want to inspire me to be a play-by-play announcer. So and then Greg Papa's pretty much done every Bay Area sports team here. He started with the Warriors, then he went to the A's, then the Giants, Raiders, and now 49ers. And it's great because I've been able to interact with him, and he's such a cool and humble guy. And sometimes they say don't meet your heroes, you'll be disappointed, but not with him. Every time he sees me, he gives me a hug, and we shoot the shit, excuse my language, about whatever sport we're talking about. And so those to me are my heroes. I had my sports heroes growing up as well: Jim Plunkett, Mark Allen, Will Clark, Chris Mullen. The Sharks, Patrick Marleau, obviously, he was the really first main superstar. But yeah, to me, those guys on radio, listening to them and how they can just control an audience with the way they called the game and the excitement that they did. And that's what always made me want to be in radio and want to be a play-by-play guy in sports. So I figured, look, if I can't hit 400 home runs or score 100 touchdowns like the great Jerry Rice, I might as well be able to call those moments, and that's what I always wanted to do. And again, not there yet as far as play-by-play, but still covering them and getting to interview the players afterwards, that, I've got access that 99% of the general public does not have. So that's been, like I said, I've been blessed so far.
And I felt like stayed optimistic. Just had a few things didn't go our way there at the end, but no one gave up, and that's going to bode well for us.
I would like to hear was saying it's how you finished and you brought a start, although the team had a real impressive start.
Yeah. It's kind of like golf. Drive for show, putt for dough. So we just got to work on finishes. It's definitely helpful when you start fast. You want to do that every game, but it's all about the finish. And so it's going to be fun. It was 28-10 at halftime. I feel like we finished decent. We had some opportunities we could have gone and got some points, but I like everyone's attitude. We can go from
The first quarter, it looked like just whatever you drew up on the board, it just worked.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's locked in, and a few things just didn't go our way, and so we're real encouraged by that. We'll play the game, so we can definitely go and play.
What's that like watching Mahomes go from passes in the second?
Yeah, he's unbelievable. Yeah. He did a good job. He had some time. Just sit back there. It's fun to watch. It's not fun if you're playing, but as an offensive player, it's fun to watch just how composed he is and how good of a player. And it's exciting to watch those receivers as well. Sammy, punching guys. It's
Now you leave for 49 days. Your team's not back here for 49 days. That could be incredible.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think we can definitely bond. I mean, I've never played a road game, so I think when you get a little adversity on a team, that's when you come together the most. And so these next 49 days until Thanksgiving, whatever it is, I feel like it's going to be a blast. We're really going to go.
So what happened offensively after that first quarter? You guys were doing really well. Then did they make adjustments, or was it just things
They score points? Yeah, I mean, we started fast, and then we just, myself and coach, just made some key mistakes that we can control. And so as we go forward, we got to make sure we just control what we can control and go out there and us not make those mistakes.
Thank you, Hunter.
Thank you. Yeah.
I know you hate my 49ers.
I don't hate the 49ers. Here's the thing. Let me clarify that. Ever since I started covering the 49ers, I found a great respect for that team. It's the fans that drive me up the wall. And not all 49er fans are like this, but a lot of them are. And these are these holier-than-thou fans that think that they're always better than the Raiders. And you can't have an intelligent conversation with them because the thing that always comes out of their mouth is Raiders suck. And those guys,
No
I don't even bother with those fans anymore. And that's the thing. One thing I've learned covering a team is that when you don't have your emotions involved in it, it's a lot easier to cover and get to know these guys. And so I've gotten to know the Niners players over these past couple years covering games, and I found a total respect for that team. And I was rooting for them to win the Super Bowls. I really was, especially against Kansas City. And I hate Kansas City. If you know I'm a Raiders fan, we hate Kansas City. So, and I can't stand Patrick Mahomes and his ugly, annoying wife and his dumb brother and that whole situation. I do respect Andy Reid. He's always been a great coach and a humble guy. But the rest of Kansas City, I can't stand. So, 49er faithful, I was rooting for you guys in the Super Bowls, all right? All right, welcome back here on Bay Area Sports Wrap. Marko Ukalovic here with another Bay FC player profile, and I got rookie midfielder Taylor Huff here with me. And Taylor, thanks for joining me here on Bay Area Sports Wrap.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
So, let's talk about the season's going so far. You guys maybe aren't where you're supposed to be at, but the second half of the season's got to start this weekend, going back into elite play, and just talk about so far how your season's been going.
Yeah, I think first off, we're so excited for the second half of the season, and we're all looking forward to it. We've been putting in a lot of work, but we know we're obviously not where we want to be, but we have so much growth and opportunity the second half of the season. So I think we're looking forward to that. We're excited to build on what we did the first half of the season. We had a lot of positives to take into the second half, so just really looking forward to doing even better in the second half.
And, this is your rookie year, so what has been the biggest, maybe not so much difference, but the thing you had to adjust to the most coming from the college into the professional ranks here?
Yeah, I think just the level of play is obviously significantly better. From college to pro is always a big jump. So for me, that's been a huge transition period, and just what you could get away with in college, you might not be able to get away with in the pros. So kind of figuring that out, but also moving across the country and different things like that has also played into it. So it's definitely been challenging, but great people around me, so it's definitely helped.
Yeah, and you come from a program in Florida State where you actually won a national title, I believe, in 2023, correct? And so just to talk us through that experience and what that was like going there and then winning that national championship.
Yeah, it was such a blessing to me, and just the players that I met there are my best friends now. So yeah, I was super lucky to be able to play under Brian Penske, and just having him as a great head coach, and then obviously the players around me, it just all added up. I think our 2023 team was definitely veteran players, so I got to learn and grow from the best of the best. So it's just amazing to get to see them where they're at now, but also just know that I've learned so much from them and have taken it into my game too.
Because of your your respect for your mentor, Greg Papa. Can you do his impression? It's a famous meme. He goes like, "Touchdown, San Francisco." Can you do that?
Sure, I can do
that.
that.
Yeah.
All right. I forgot you were trying to do a little bit of a play-by-play.
Yeah.
He's going to throw it deep. He's got Deebo Samuel. Touchdown! San Francisco!
Hi, we're the Go-Go's, and you're watching Bay Area Sports Wrap. That's a wrap.
So there's a pretty big slice of California right there. We've got the politics, the cuisine, culture, technology, all of these people being inducted into the California Hall of Fame. And we've got some fans here. Who are you here to see tonight?
The Go-Go's.
The Go-Go's. Where are you from?
San Jose.
San Jose. So drove here from San Jose. We got a guy wearing his California starter jersey. Very nice touch.
Yeah, thank you.
Also here for?
Belinda Carlisle, the Go-Go's.
All right, the Go-Go's are going to be here tonight, guys. We'll have much more for you from downtown Sacramento. The California Hall of Fame is getting underway.
Maybe they're on vacation, and I'm glad their lips weren't sealed. Well, our state's famous faces will be celebrated tonight. CBS 13's Steve Large, a familiar face to many, live from the star-studded event. Steve, how's it looking?
Kind of a special moment right now. Shirley Temple Black's children are here. They just got on the red carpet. They're taking some pictures. They are just out of frame right now. Maybe see if we can capture them here during this live moment. But as you mentioned, this is the 17th annual induction ceremony for the California Hall of Fame. We're expecting to see Willie Brown here on the red carpet. The Go-Go's are going to be here as well. And I had the opportunity to talk to some fans who actually drove here from the Bay Area to be here for that moment. Here's what they had to say. So why is it so important for you to be here?
You know, when I heard about the California Hall of Fame, I thought this was such a great event. And for the people who are being inducted, it's just really a once in a year type of thing where you can come in and celebrate some of the icons you grew up with. And the Go-Go's and Belinda Carlisle is a band that I grew up with when I first started getting into music when I was 6, 7 years old.
Just a chance to see them. I mean, again, these women are legends. I mean, they're now in their 60s, but they still rock on like they're in their 20s. I mean, they're just have boundless energy. Their music is still like copied to this day.
Please give us a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
So, let's focus on your love for the Bay Area teams. But for you, I know you're a Giants fan. You're not necessarily an A's fan,
right.
But losing the Raiders in Oakland, that was.
It's been devastating for the city of Oakland these last 5 years. They've lost the baseball team. They lost a football team, and they even lost the Warriors to San Francisco. Oakland has always been a proud, blue-collar team that loved and was very loyal to their sports teams. And I really feel bad for the A's fans because, they could be, some of them could be holier than thou too, but for them to lose their team that, had all that tradition in Oakland, with all the great players that have come through that organization, Ricky Henderson, Dave Stewart, I grew up when those guys were, in their prime, their heyday. And, it's a shame that they have an owner who does not give one crap about them. and that he wants to move them to Las Vegas, at the town that is not even accepting them. You know, Vegas is becoming a sports city, but they want their own teams. If you look at when the Golden Knights came as an expansion team in the NHL, they really took to that city, and the fans really came out and supported that team, and they've had success in such a short period of time. Already won a Stanley Cup. They support the Las Vegas Aces, the WNBA team. Vegas wants their own teams, and so what John Fisher's doing is a complete travesty. It's disgraceful that Rob Manfred in Major League Baseball is allowing this to happen, for them to go play in a AAA ballpark in Sacramento when it gets over 110 degrees during the summertime there. You want to subjugate fans to that? And I saw what they did with the media. They put this shed that's not that big. In fact, I've seen bigger sheds at Home Depot for the media to go in for the press conferences. And I'm like, I told their PA announcer Amelia Schimmel yesterday about the BAFC game. I'm like, can you imagine me being in that in a game in the middle of July when it's 110 there, and there's probably no air conditioning in it? I'm like, no, thank you. I will not set foot in that ballpark as far as a member of the media. If someone wants to give me some tickets, I might go up there because my parents live a half hour east of Sacramento, and I always wanted to check out a game just because it's a decent ballpark, but not one for a Major League Baseball team. And having other Major League Baseball teams come and playing in it, it's, again, I can't believe they've allowed this to happen. They should have forced ownership change. John Fisher should have been forced to sell this team and kept them Oakland. I mean, there's so many. You think of all the billionaires that are in the Bay Area alone, Silicon Valley, Larry Ellison. I'm pretty sure even Mark Zuckerberg would want to own a team, and he's got all these guys got the money to do it. I mean, Joe Lacob, the owner of the Warriors, wanted to buy the A's. Imagine if he had bought in the A's, say 5 years ago, 6 years ago, they'd probably have a new stadium right now, and they'd be competing. They'd be spending money on them, and we'd have two great franchises still competing against each other. So that's my take on that. And and it sucked to the loss of the Raiders too, because the Raiders were so synonymous with Oakland. Even when they left for LA the first time and came back in '95, it was like they never left. So for them now to be gone, and the A's now dealing with what they got to deal with, I mean, yeah, it's sad. Welcome to Bay Area Sports Wrap. It's week 4 of the NFL, and it's our first podcast after a San Francisco 49ers home game. And tonight did not go well. If the 49ers were thinking of an undefeated season, well, that dream just burst today against the Jacksonville Jaguars and losing to them 26-21. Alongside Ryan Leong, I'm Marko Ukalovic. Welcome. And it was an ugly game from start to finish, especially from the 49ers side. None of the three teams in offense, defense, or special teams played well today. You had Brock Purdy committing 3 of the 4 turnovers that the 49ers had. Again, whether that was rust, he hadn't played in a couple weeks because of his turf toe and his shoulder injury, whether that was, maybe just, it's because of the injuries, maybe he wasn't 100%. I talked to Kyle Shanahan after the game. He didn't want to admit to any of those. And the way I look at this game, Ryan, it was just a bad performance overall. Despite them giving with the 4 turnovers, they still had a chance to win this game today.
Yeah, hey, I was going to say, your shirt matches your eyes.
Thank you.
And also, did you wear this for the Jacksonville by any chance? It looks kind of Jacksonville-ish. I digress. Anyway, I'm just kidding. Niners looked awful. They looked like crap. I mean, Brock Purdy comes off and, he starts this game. The news came out a few days before this game that he was going to come back and play and start for the 49ers, and he just looked terrible out there. He was throwing lots of passes. He was throwing passes way too high. You should be trying to usually hit guys, right here?
Right in the numbers.
Right near the numbers, and he's throwing right towards the face mask or even higher. So lots of his passes, I think of one stretch, he threw 4 incomplete passes, and they could all be potential interceptions. 23 of the 26 points that Jacksonville scored were by 49er turnovers. So here it is, they commit 4 turnovers, and even after 3 turnovers, they still had a chance to win the game if they could drive down the field and score a touchdown. That didn't happen. The key play of the game, former Niner Eric Armstead forces a sack on Purdy. The forced fumble was picked up by his teammate Devin Floyd, and Armstead was just elated. He was so happy that he was able to have a game like this, that it was a game he'll never forget. He spoke to us in the interview room we'll have some clips of that on our YouTube shorts. But you know, it's kind of a heartbreaker in a way, Marco, because I tell you, I always liked Eric Armstead. I thought he was a really stand-up guy, and the Niners kind of, you know, it's kind of like DeForest Buckner when he was here too. They just sort of kind of move on from these guys, and they don't really like want to keep them around. And I thought that was kind of the case with.
What are the 3 most memorable interviews you've had with someone in sports, whether they're playing sports or whether it's a sport personality? Your top 3 favorite.
Oh wow, geez, that's a tough one because I'm trying to think of what. You know, I got to say, interviewing, you know, all the Warriors after they won the 2017 championship, you know, the redeem team as they called it, just being in that locker room, seeing them celebrating with the champagne, that was pretty memorable. Pablo Sandoval, when he was the Giant in 2014, when they clinched the pennant against the St. Louis Cardinals, you know, I asked him straight up, I'm like, hey, you know, how's it feel that, you know, this team's so resilient and was able to come back and win and clinch the series? And he says, and the criticism going into that series was that the Giants weren't hitting any home runs. They couldn't win the game with a home run. So he straight up, without hesitation, answers me, he goes, so what are they going to say about us now? We can't hit home runs? And I was like, wow. So that kind of blew me away, and I thought that was the best quote that he gave everywhere. And then also, this also pertains to that as well. I remember Buster Posey was being interviewed by Major League Baseball, MLB Network. And, you know, we got to interview him before he went on the field for that. And my question to him was, you know, if someone had written a script and told you that Travis Ishikawa was going to, you know, be the hero of this NLCS, would you believe that? And he said, oh, yeah, I would have, right? So then when, what do you call it, MLB Network asked him something similar to that, he goes, well, yeah. He goes, no, there was a reporter that asked me that exact same thing. And I was like, hey, that was me. So I thought that was cool. Let's see, if you have any 2. The other memorable moment as far as the interview, I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I won't limit you to 3. If there's someone else that you want to speak on, like, you know, feel free.
I mean, it's just, I'm trying to go through the memory bank right now. And I don't know, and probably like just, I would say then, 2016 Western Conference Finals when the Sharks clinched that. I got to first talk to Tomas Hertl, who, you know, if you know anything about this guy, happy-go-lucky, always smiling. I've never seen him like upset, and the look on his face when I said, Tomas, Western Conference champions, how's that feel? And his face just lit up, and seeing that was just like, you don't get to experience that all the time, you know, and that's really a once-in-a-lifetime thing to experience. So I would say those out of the top 3, those are the ones that to me are the most memorable right now in my mindset.
A very special Bay Area Sports Wrap interview along with Ryan Leong, Lowell Tuckman behind the camera tonight. I'm Marko Ukalovic, and sitting in the middle with us is the longtime broadcaster, the radio voice of the San Jose Sharks, Dan Rusanowski, who also happens to be this year's recipient of the 2023 Foster Hewitt Memorial Award. Now, this award is presented to broadcasters who make outstanding contributions not only to their profession but to the game of hockey itself. And Dan has been the recipient this year. He was voted by the NHL Broadcasters Association, excuse me. And it's an honor to have him here to talk about that moment and about his career as a broadcaster with the Sharks. So, Dan, first of all, congratulations and thanks for joining us here on Bay Area Sports Wrap.
Well, it's great to be here, and it's such an honor what I've been living through the last couple of months, really, when I first found out about being the recipient of this year's award. It comes with a tremendous responsibility, of course, that you have to live up to. This is not presented to people at the end of their careers. This is presented to people who are in their careers usually, and they do it posthumously occasionally or after somebody has retired. But in recent years, it's been more that way. And I have to say that I'm so honored, and I was so flattered, and I was so jazzed up and proud and all those other emotions to feel when the news came out, and that was just before the schedule came out. And of course, then it was waiting for a while to see what the plans were like, and what an amazing first-class experience it was at the Hall of Fame. First of all, to have the luncheon and to be presented the Foster Hewitt Memorial Award. And Mark Mulvoy got the Elmer Ferguson Award for excellence in writing. He's an outstanding writer for many, many seasons. And I really got a chance to meet him and spend time with him, and that was awfully special. And so the entire experience was incredible. And then, of course, it got capped off by the team having a special night for me here at SAP Center the day after Thanksgiving against Montreal. What better team to have it against, the team that's won more Stanley Cups than any other. And that was a special time, too, for me and for my wife and for my family. And I just can't thank everybody enough for all the great well wishes, emails, notes on the web, telephone calls, and from people in the profession and outside of it, from the fan base. It's been marvelous.
And when you get to Toronto, can you just like take us through your emotions, seeing your plaque up there along the wall with all the other greats that have won this award distinctively?
Well, you certainly do a double take when it happens, and you see it up there. And they did such a classy job in making it look good, and I appreciate everything they wrote. They did everything beautifully, and I wanted to spend a couple of minutes with it by myself. Actually, there were, my whole group was there. The day before the actual induction event took place, and we were all there, and the plaque was up, and we all took pictures with it. But once everybody sort of dispersed, I just went over there and spent a little time with it by myself and reflected on a lot of different experiences in life over the years with broadcasting and with the game of hockey, and it felt special.
Hey, Dan, Ryan Leong, and thanks again for joining us here on Bay Area Sports Wrap. I'm sure you're just thrilled the fact that you become synonymous with the team, and you don't see that much with broadcasters anymore, but I would say that you're in that class of a Vince Scully or a John Miller. Of course, I'm talking baseball here, or Mike Lang, hockey with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Was that always a goal of yours to be a part of the game of hockey and contribute to it the way you have?
Yes, I'd say so. I moved to San Jose to make it my home. I wanted it to be the place where I lived and where I settled. And as it turned out, my life changed. I met my wife here. I set up my home here, and I've been very fortunate to be able to be with the Sharks for all these years. And let's not forget, it's a privilege to be in the NHL, and it's you got to have a lot of support from a great organization, which I've always had, and that's something that's exceedingly special. But I did come here to be part of something special, to bring hockey back to the Bay Area, where it had been for many years, and to do that at the NHL level, and to get my first opportunity to broadcast games at the highest level. And it's been an absolute thrill. I've enjoyed every second of it.
Just wanted.
So with you running a YouTube channel and, you encouraging like the youth or even somebody maybe, changing careers, because as you know, with media, we can be in the one day and then out tomorrow. What sort of advice would you give them when it comes to starting a YouTube channel focusing on sports?
Yeah, again, if you can get access to cover a game, get a media credential, do it. Yeah, because that's the best way to get content on there. And if you're not, if it's not, start doing a podcast. Start talking about whatever team. Whether it's the Warriors. And what are they going to do next season? Is their dynasty over? Was this season the last hurrah that they could have done something? Start doing that. Start coming up with some kind of analysis to talk about when the games aren't going on. Again, getting as much content out there and then promoting that content. That's the key to want to do this. If you want to do a YouTube channel, again, I kind of regret not doing this when YouTube first came out, and I remember people would tell me like, "Yeah, man, you know something about sport, man. You should start your own YouTube channel." And I was just like, I'm a radio guy. I don't really care for online. Like, online's just something to come on and get information from, right? Because again, that's what it was back in the day. It wasn't where everyone has become a narcissist with their whole TikTok videos and selfieing it up and look at me, look where I'm at today. So it was different back then, and so I'm kind of old school in that way. And that I feel bad for like these kids, these Gen Zs and Gen ZZs or whatever you want to call them, because they've never had to use their imagination and they don't know how to deal with adversity. And it's sad to see that. When, we had to use our imaginations growing up. We didn't have an iPhone glued to us. And all these apps that command our attention. So that's what I would say. Again, if you can't get into ball games, put content out there to where then when you do submit requests, you can say, look, I have all this content on here. And then some teams will let you in. It's really just keep at it. If you get rejected, don't take that as an end-all, be-all. I've been rejected from a lot of requests at the beginning, and you still got to keep persevering and keep going. And that's the best advice I can give someone. Don't stop because someone said no to you.